How is it going? I wanted to touch upon a decently touchy topic, and I guarantee if you guys stay through the whole video, you'll completely understand. Mainly about PKING, skilling, the game in general, and the future and the past. It's a lot of ideas tied together. It's pretty interesting. I do hope you guys stay till the end and hear out some of my opinions. Don't worry guys, this is not going to be another vote yes on the polls, this and that. I really don't care that much, although I would like to see some more PvP content and maybe the wildy to get a few more updates. That would be nice. So how will PKING help the longevity and the economy of the game? It might seem simple, but it's more complex when you do dig into it, so I want to cover multiple points before we get to the conclusion. Alright, so in the nicest way possible, I really do feel like RuneScape has become overrun with skillers and PVMers, and you know, let me say guys, this is coming from a guy that's played 11 years, I have over 350 million XP, multiple 99 skills like woodcutting, almost have 99 fishing, and just multiple things guys. I've played the game to the fullest, and I legitimately think I know what I'm talking about, and this is a very touchy subject, so you know, just bear with me and you know, try and hear me out guys. So I want to start the discussion back in 2007 when the wilderness, you know, was an iconic place, and then it all got taken away guys. This was a huge aspect in the game for most of the people, and like 30% of people instantly canceled their membership that same day that the wilderness was removed. And ever since then, PKING kinda has been bugged, and I do feel it's put a bad stigma on people's head. I mean, the BH creators came out, and then you had that 75k tricking, and then basically EOC, legacy mode, and yeah, the old RuneScape did not do well in PKING. So one point we need to address, why is the wilderness not the hype that it used to be way back in the day? What is the real reason guys? Are people addicted to clicking on pixelated trees and you know, animated rocks for 5 hours a day? Or are people comforted by killing animated, you know, robot monsters that you can never die and lose your things? Or you know, is there so many Call of Duty and Battlefield games that maybe PKING and old school is kind of outdated and the mechanics are maybe boring, slow? I'm not exactly sure, but those things play a huge part into the overall like view of PKING and how people feel. So you know, leave a comment, what do you guys think about that? And are you a PK? Are you a skiller mainly? So personally, I think everything above is true and plays into it. I feel that skillers are relaxed while playing the game, and they might actually be a little addicted, you know, to skilling, and might have built a rhythm or a habit into logging on, doing farm runs, etc, etc. And as far as the medium level PVMer goes, that's still, you know, starting out learning these bosses, they might be dying a lot, especially like Zulrah, and you know, dying in the wilderness to another PKer, that's definitely not fun. So attacking a boss where you actually never lose your items if you die, it's pretty comforting, I must say. And then one of the last reasons I feel that PKING is not as hype, because Call of Duty, Battlefield, and so many other shooter games, and just Xbox, and just so many other things to do besides play RuneScape like we were young kids. And you know, a lot of people that play are actually in high school or college now, and maybe they have to focus on their studies a lot more, and they play RuneScape to, you know, fish or whatever, to do AFKing things while they're focusing on things IRL. I do think a lot of this stigma is built in though, like I said, from way back when the wilderness got cancelled and EOC came out and just everything kind of got ruined. And then this is one of my next points I want to bring into, is the Osrs server coming out, you know, like 3 or 4 years ago. Everyone started from scratch, and they spent months and months and months training up their account, doing quests, blah 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 blah, and I find that most people get around 80 to 90% of their goals, and then they quit guys, or they get burnt out. I've seen so many of my IRL friends, and you can actually look at the graph of the old school players, and you know, it was skyrocketing right when it came out, and it just went downhill and downhill, and I feel like people were getting burnt out. And then, you know, Twitch came out, Jagex began marketing quite hard, which began a whole nother load of new players. And that's basically a big fork in the road. You know, so many thousands and hundreds of thousands of people came back to old school to try it out, to get the nostalgia, and many of them quit before they actually, you know, succeeded with their accounts. And then a small 20, maybe 15% stayed, and those are the 126s with max capes you see walking around nowadays. And there's another point, I've heard a lot of people say that it's very hard to get into PKING, with people being so fluent and had so much hours of practice in the wildy, and starting off is quite hard, learning the F keys, learning the switches, learning so many things, and getting a max mage clan on you is not fun for most. You guys could also say, well, Seerz, they brought in deadman mode for PKING, etc. In the beginning I thought deadman mode would be great, and I thought it'd get so much more players into the PK mindset, etc. But honestly, seeing how it's gone, it's actually hurt the PK community. I feel that people, PK for a week or two during demo mode, but most of them are mulers and swappers anyway, and then they go back to the old game after being PK'd so much. Maybe they'll PK for a week or so, and then they'll just go back to their skilling and PVMing. So I feel that demo mode actually takes away, and it leaves the wild pretty bare during demo mode and in the off season. Alright, so moving on, a little touchy. I know some of you guys don't see it this way. Twitch streamers and vidmakers place themselves where their content is at, and everyone knows about 90% of the game is PVMing and skilling, and that's why maybe Bodhi and so much people are doing so much skilling based stuff, when honestly guys, they could go PKing once a week. I would absolutely love to see Bodhi go deep wild PKing, even BH PKing. I haven't seen him do that in so long. And do you guys realize the impact he could really have on the community? And I hear people like Safon, you guys know Soup, he's really standing up for it.
What happened was a lot of the rewards were not passing for raids. Some of them were, some of the unique items were, but a lot of them weren't. And what ended up happening was they were pulling these raids rewards constantly until finally many of these passed, and for some of them they just straight up added them to the game. And people argue that that wasn't fair, that they didn't enjoy it. Now for some of those rewards I can totally understand. If the Twisted Bow was pulled separately, it would never have passed a poll. You guys know how OP it is at the moment, but it ended up coming into the game. A lot of people are fine with it. What a lot of people aren't in this game are PKers. I'd say less than 5 to 10% of the game are people who go out and PK, not necessarily daily, even on a weekly or monthly basis. Not many people do it at all. So the tough thing is if Jagex wants to pull a PvP update, if they want to help out PKers, they cannot get the things to pass because the game is simply just a huge majority of PVM players and skillers. So while these people might not be affected necessarily by the PvP updates, they don't like PKers, so they're going to vote no on the poll, which makes it very tough for these polls to pass, and makes it very tough for PKers to get content.
And I don't really hear Bodhi and some of these even bigger people standing up for it. I just think even if you're a PK or not, you guys should feel that, the wild needs improvements as well, even if it's not the Rev Caves. I personally don't even think that's the best update, but there's so many little updates that the wild could definitely receive. Places like the Black Chin area or the KBD or maybe Callisto, they are perfect, guys. The Black Chins are an alternative to anyone that wants to train Hunter. They can go in the wild, get more XP. Of course, it's more dangerous rather than red chins, but then you got the newbie PKers coming to kill those chin hunters. Then you got the better PKers coming to kill them. You may have some clans coming to kill them, and then even better clans. And then the cycle works, guys. It's how it should be. And places like KBD as well, you have to go very deep and teleport out. But there's honestly 10 to 15 steps till you get to safety, and then you're free. You're safe inside the lair, and you have the ability, to get your gold and farm them gains, them loots off of that good boss. And you have to go through a little bit of dangerous area, which I think is great. And I do think one of the main reasons of why most new players don't go deep while they go PKing is maybe they're scared of clans or, max levels, higher combat. I would first off say definitely train to like 105, 110 before you go really deep. But even then, you guys could PK at West Dragons or Graveyard, etc. at like, 90 combat, so it's not that big of a deal. But yeah, guys, clans are pretty pathetic. And any real PKer knows that you make a lot more money solo PKing, honestly. Like, no one wants to sit there logged out for 10 minutes waiting for the clan to bait someone, and then all you guys log in, falling with smites and whatnot, and there's a main leader, normally a high ass rank, actually getting the focus. You get no action. You're lucky if you get to put like 1 declaw or 1 AGS spec into the guy before he's dead, so it's not even fun. And then guys, you PK 30 mil, 50 mil, but there's 20-25 guys, so it's like a 2 mil split. You might as well just PK a guy in Mystic yourself, and there's so much more loot out there in the wildy as well if you're solo. So arriving at the conclusion, how will more PKing help the game's economy and longevity? Alright, so first off, you need to understand that normally 90% of all PKers are going to be buying their supplies because they want to go PKing. They're going to buy their recoil rings, which means sapphires, gold bars, cosmic ruins. They're going to buy their cook sharks. They're going to buy their ruin. They're going to buy their glories. Someone had to make that. They're going to buy their potions. Someone had to farm those herbs and make that. They are basically buying everything, including PVM gear. I can't even think of how many times I've died for whips and serp helms and whatnot. I've probably bought 7 to 8 serp helms in the last, 3 months. That's 8 drops from Zulrah that I've personally accumulated for. So with that being said, if there were more people in the wildy there'd be less people at bandos, at DKs, all these bosses, which means the drops would go up. And you guys gotta think about skilling as well. All the trees getting cut down so quick, and I would say extreme amounts of PVMing is gonna hurt the game honestly more than skilling. Normally skilling is kind of the process of using the bulk drops from the PVM, and we can all look at Zulrah and think about how much raw materials it dropped. I remember it was like 100 planks, 25 AD bars, all these things. That's quite a bit. Although some of you guys might not think so, demo mode is almost a perfect economy. You have the strength amulets being like 5k, the rubies are 1k, gold bars 1k. You actually make profit for skilling, which is of course how it should be. You guys cannot get brainwashed into thinking that training herblore in something should cost you money. It's because all the nerds that have like 200 mil herblore and you know they've trained far over the 99s, they're just addicted and they're using all of the supplies and dumping the potions and whatnot into the game. Alright, let me give you an example. Start from stage 1, take it all the way back. And of course guys, there needs to be a balance, and I did just tell people to go to KBD, but let's use a KBD killer for an example. Alright, so a quick comparison, the KBD PKer, he's probably sitting there for 10 minutes, he doesn't see anyone, he's not generating any materials or supplies into the game, and if he does die, he's probably going to buy another black d'hide body, which is used from black d'hides, and if someone kills him, they're probably not going to pick up the black d'hide bodies because they don't have space, and they're going to leave so much potions on the ground, so think about that. Alright, so compared to the KBD killer, he's probably going to go there, you know, get a couple hundred black d'hides, he's even going to get lucky and of course get thousands of U-logs when he never actually went and cut those trees, which is chill, that's pretty cool, you know. But guys, after a year, that really starts to add on. If we go back to demo mode, if you remember, how much was a black d'hide body in demo mode? 45k to 25k once, you know, a week or two passed, and that's how it should be. But what is it in this game, guys? It's ALK price. That's not right. That's not how it should be if you really think about it. And how much is a DFS, guys? 8 mil? 8 mil. So yeah, something is wrong here, guys. There's clearly too much skillers and too much PVMers, and no one actually sees it. But yeah guys, I could bring up so many more points, such as glory amulets. They're extremely overcrated, and imagine if more people went multi-PKing. If anyone's seen, you know, any type of multi-PK videos, there is endless loot piles of glories, d'hide, rune Seabos, rune full helms, rune boots, all of these things, guys. How much are rune boots again? 6-7k? I remember they were 500k at the beginning of old school. And yeah guys, things aren't going so well. Not even to mention a tentacle whip, guys. The PKers got fucked over. It was because there was so many PVMers killing abyssal demons doing slayer and whatnot that they actually had to implement a cumbersome for it, and that's the tentacle whip. And now if you know you PK someone, you get 100k loot instead of the iconic abyssal whip. I could take this much farther, guys, I really could. I don't expect you guys to agree with all my points. It was just kind of a fun ramble video I did want to touch upon. I see so much drama with all this PKing and whatnot, and you know, after really thinking about, you know, the economy and the game overall. So, you know, feel free to leave a comment discussing it, how you guys feel. But yeah, I do feel like I definitely proved my point, and it'll be interesting in the next couple months to see what Jagex and RuneScape will do with the PKing updates. But yeah, I hope you did enjoy. Peace out, boys.
Drinking old English, rags, tie, gang sign, letters on my hat.